I've been wanting to take a few minutes and talk about a semiconductor stock that I don't think gets a lot of attention. For whatever reason, I think it's maybe just one of those things where they make chips that you don't really see. They kind of operate behind the scenes. But at any rate, I think it deserves some attention, and that's Broadcom, ticker symbol AVGO. I'll explain the weird ticker that doesn't really match up with the name Broadcom here in just a moment. Let me just show you this chart here. You see here, Broadcom, fantastic stock here in the last year, beating the market. Yeah, down 9-10% over the last 12 months, but that's pretty good considering chip stocks on average down a little over 30% in 2022. So what's up with Broadcom? What's going on with this company? Why the outperformance? This is also one of our chip stock investor portfolio holdings. So let's get a little background on this business, and I'll explain why I like it so much. Let's start with a little bit of history here, because I think it is important to understand Broadcom and where it is today. So let's first start with where it came from. So this is the company's history page on their investor relations website. And you can see here, I'm just going to go back to 2015. But if you go through the whole history, you'll see lots of acquisitions listed in their history. So back in 2015, they acquired this company, Emulex. But here in 2016 is where things get really interesting. Right here at the bottom of 2016, it says this company, AVGO Technologies, acquires Broadcom, and then the company adopts the name Broadcom. That's really interesting. So AVGO was a Singapore-based chip company. They acquired Broadcom, which was based in California, and then the newly merged company became Broadcom. But really, it's the AVGO team that came over and is in control of the business. In particular, this gentleman right here, Hock Tan, he is currently still the CEO, but he is who architected this deal. He was the CEO of AVGO in Singapore. He's actually Malaysian. Malaysia and Singapore at one time, interestingly, were the same country, but different story there. He has a venture capital background. So it's a finance guy. But at any rate, he got AVGO to acquire Broadcom, and they merged. And then later on, up here in 2018, the new company, Broadcom, re-domiciled to the United States. So basically, the AVGO team that acquired Broadcom first adopted the name Broadcom and then moved their headquarters from Singapore to the US. Along the way, since then, they've made other acquisitions, but starting in 2017, they started getting into software, specifically infrastructure software. So beyond just the chips themselves, they acquired this company called Brocade in 2017. Jumping back up here to 2018, they bought this company, CA Technologies. And in 2019, they acquired the enterprise security business from Symantec, what was left over was NortonLifeLock, which has just rebranded again to a company now called Gen Systems. But Broadcom took the enterprise security division. So in total, basically Broadcom, what they did, they pieced together these infrastructure software companies, patched them together. And again, just like Broadcom chips, you're probably never going to hear or see much about these software companies. It's not a consumer-facing software product. What they do is they help companies that operate data centers, maybe telecom networks, or some sort of networking infrastructure. It's software that helps engineers manage those networks. So it really goes hand in hand with the chip business. And as the name would imply, Broadcom, or broad-based communications, the company designs all sorts of chips in the communications space. So it can be anything from smartphone chip designs. Like Broadcom is an Apple supplier. They supply a lot of circuitry for the iPhone and the iPad. It could be a wired communication network. So maybe something for a more traditional office space, or it could be a data center, or it could be actual wireless communications. So the company has been working for years on 4G networks. They're now a very big player in 5G network infrastructure. So those little radio towers that create the actual 5G signal that our phones can interact with, that's Broadcom. So here's a little revenue breakdown for Broadcom for their last reported quarter. They just finished up their 2022 fiscal year. So this chart that you're seeing here is sales for the fourth quarter of fiscal 2022, which was the 3-month period that wrapped up in October of 2022. So you can see here, networking, digital storage connectivity, broadband, wireless. That's the bread and butter here for Broadcom. They said, be it wired or wireless networking, infrastructure for smartphones, for tablets, you name it. The company designs all sorts of circuitry that helps with wireless communications, moving data around a system, and helping a computing system process that data. And this is one of the reasons why I like this business. So Broadcom is a fabless business. They don't do any manufacturing. They only do design work. But their CEO, Hock Tan, remember that background in private equity, in investing, as a finance guy. This company has done a fantastic job focusing in on these niches within the semiconductor world that are maybe not so sexy, often overlooked, but because there's a bit lower competition in these areas, they go in, they create fabulous designs that work really well for their customers. Profit margins are very high. And then as it gets commoditized and the profit margins decrease, they move on. Broadcom is more than happy to move on to the next thing. But you can see here from this chart, though, fantastic growth going on right now, double-digit growth across the board to close out 2022. The only thing that has not been doing so well is their industrial segment, pretty flat year over year, but also a very, very tiny part of the business. And that infrastructure software piece of the puzzle. At 1.8 billion, it's not so small, roughly about 20% of overall revenue. Pretty flat revenue growth, but the company has done exactly the same thing with its infrastructure software business as it has with its chip designs. They pare the business down so that it's highly profitable, and then they're taking those profits and looking at where to reinvest it, where they're going to get the best return on that cash. So even though the infrastructure software, not so fast growing right at the moment, that's okay, highly profitable, and Broadcom has been a fantastic allocator of capital. That's what happened, but as is always the case with stocks, what is going to happen in the future is always more important. And this is one of the reasons why I really like Broadcom stock right now. I think it's a top semiconductor pick headed into 2023. And so here's just a brief rundown of their outlook for the first quarter. Now, Hock Tan and company, they said they're not going to provide any full year 2023 outlook. All they did say was that their customers have them fully booked out. But for the first quarter, the business is expected to grow about 16% year over year. That's going to be driven by 20% actual semiconductor sales growth, and then flat year-over-year performance for infrastructure software. That's pretty good. Remember, viewing this in context of the current semiconductor slump, a lot of companies are reporting significant slowdowns in revenue growth. Some are actually in contraction. Think like the digital memory market. Micron has been absolutely hammered as of late. The consumer market, smartphones, all going through a significant down cycle. Broadcom, still growing, 16% year-over-year growth. That's only slightly down from what they just did to close out 2022. Business is still going strong. In addition to that, point out that Broadcom tends to generate free cash flow profit margins of 49 or 50%, sometimes a little bit higher than that. So remember when I said the company makes these acquisitions, it looks for ways to squeeze as much profit as they can out of those acquisitions. There's the proof of how that's been going for them. 49, 50% profit margins, that's incredible. The company uses a lot of that cash to return to us as shareholders. They've been making stock repurchases in the past year. It pays a 3.3% dividend as of this recording. This is a great growth and income stock. Whether you're big into semiconductors or not, this is just a great business to consider adding as a core part of a portfolio, I believe. Now, there are a couple of notable risks I think need to be mentioned with Broadcom. So back to the ticker terminal here, I just want to point out the company's balance sheet. So as of the end of the last quarter, end of October 2022, just over $12.4 billion in cash and short-term investments. But going down here to the liability side, total long-term debt, just over $39 billion. So the company carries a lot of debt on its balance sheet. It has come down a little bit from its peak, but not much. That's the cost of all those acquisitions, in particular, the software acquisitions that they started making back in 2017. So that's a big risk I think is worth pointing out here. And I don't think the balance sheet is going to get much cleaner anytime soon. So maybe one reason you have heard of Broadcom over the years is a few years ago, they tried to acquire Qualcomm. Regulators weren't going to let that happen. But more recently here, back in May of 2022, Broadcom said they are going to be acquiring VMware. So here's the press release. At the time that acquisition was announced, it was going to be worth $61 billion, combination of cash and stock to cash out VMware shareholders. So VMware is a cloud computing software company. Basically, Broadcom wants to take on the big cloud titans. They want to take on Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, Google Cloud, and create this unified communications chip designer with the cloud software layered on top of it. But $61 billion combination of cash and debt. Per usual, Hock Tan and the team think that this is going to make a lot of financial sense. They think there's going to be, you see here, $8.5 billion per year in extra earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. $8.5 billion because of this merger within 3 years of it closing. Now, that being said, this deal may not go through. It's already receiving quite a bit of scrutiny. It looks like the EU is going to go through a 4-month process here at the start of 2023, doing a very, very detailed antitrust examination of this. Hock Tan and the team think it will go through. Their rationale basically is, hey, the cloud titans like AWS, like Azure, Google Cloud, they design some of their own chips now and are interested in designing more of them. They'd like to come to the table and give cloud customers more choice and bring yet another integrated cloud play to market that does both chip design and actual software for companies looking to design their cloud workload. Those are some of the risks for Broadcom. Lots of debt. The VMware acquisition is really, really interesting, but if it goes through, it's a bit of a wild card. It will mean even more debt. But that aside, I really like the stock headed into 2023. Less than 15 times trailing 12-month free cash flow, about 21 times trailing 12-month earnings. It's a great dividend stock. It's a great growth story. CEO Hock Tan has done a fabulous job growing shareholder value along the way. This is one of those names I think more investors should know about. Chip stock investors and just your run-of-the-mill non-tech investors as well. So that is Broadcom. Appreciate you spending some time. Stay tuned next week. We're going to talk about Skyworks Solutions, another chip stock investor portfolio holding. And also, we talked here about Broadcom's software strategy. I think we need to talk about NVIDIA's software strategy and maybe just kind of compare it to what Broadcom is doing, some of the differences, why it makes sense, and how NVIDIA is also taking on some of the tech titans, but kind of in its own unique way. So stay tuned for that next week. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you don't miss a video. Until then, hope you all have a good weekend.